Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Debunking Solitude. This is one particular subject that, over a period of time, has come again and again in some shape or form during my discussions with a lot of people like you, and also in the comment sections that I received from many of you, where the the quest to understand solitude is lesser known, lesser understood, and lesser imbibed. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the myths around solitude. What is that solitude really has to offer to us, and how do we really imbibe solitude in really manifesting our true potential? So, before we dive further, just to understand the context, we will be talking about what solitude really is, actually defining how it relates to you and I as a human being, and who really is a person who can be referred to as a loner or a solitude person. We will also be talking about certain issues that people associate with being a solitude person, or if they have somebody around them whom they consider to be a solitude person. So, what's really wrong in being a solitude person or a loner? And if you are one, then what are the lessons or the benefits that you can really drive out of being a solitude person? And lastly, we'll also be touching upon the deadly combination of using the Akashic Records special for solitude person, and then mastering the force of the creator creation amalgamation that we already have in within, which we are exploring in our spiritual form as a human being. So let's dive in. My name is Karishma, and welcome to this episode. I am the author of a best-selling book, Cracking the Code of Akashic Records, and I'm also a mentor to thousands around who are on the journey to healing and self-discovery. It is often said that to really understand who you are, you need to identify yourself as a person, recognize your authentic self, and then imbibe the authenticity that you bring in your spiritual form being a human being. And that is why you will always see a lot of monks, a lot of people who are onto their journey of exploring their inner being. They try to cut ties with a lot of the external world that we consider to be the materialistic world. That may not be completely the right approach for some, and for some, that may be the only approach to identify who they really are. So, to really understand your authentic self, the way that you have designed your being before coming into this incarnation, before getting entangled into the relationship ties or the expectations of others, or for that matter, how do you want to fit into the society, being considered as a normal human being rather than loner. So, all those things try to cut you away from who you really are. Over to that, if we talk about the consumerization, materialistic requirements that we have, and the need to fit in, they further us away from being our authentic self. And therefore, a solitude person is somebody who is in a situation or a circumstance or a state of being alone. That is what solitude really defines. And as the stronger sense of our own existence comes to light, as we learn about who we really are, what is our purpose, why are we here, we also require to redeem a greater sense of fulfillment. We reach to a stage of self-actualization where we want to explore who we really are and identify our unique gifts and talents. And being there is something that a lot of people are now looking forward to. That's the reason you would have also seen a surge of mystics, gurus, mentors, coaches, psychologists, and life therapists. And a lot of these people are coming into the light because as the energy of the earth is shifting from 3D mentality to the 5D mentality, we need these people to first unearth their own self, become their authentic self, and then spread the ripple effect of being authentic to others. And many of these people, gurus, mentors, psychologists, therapists, trainers, healers, all of these would have done the work within themselves. They would have already shed a lot of societal conditioning, a lot of childhood traumas he would be healed. They would have already done a lot of inner work before they would have come into their own capacity to be able to be a light for other people around. And therefore, when we talk about being a solitude person, we are typically referring to a person who has a component of himself or a part of himself where he has a deep longing of being cut out from his circumstances and situations of the usual associates, usual, I would say, consumerization, usual active fixing in, fitting in, and in the absence of all that drama, in the absence of all that chaos, in the absence where one feels that I'm not being able to be my true authentic self and have to manipulate my existence, manipulate my talk, manipulate my presentation, manipulate the way I bring myself to the world around in order to fit in, they lose a part of themselves. They feel it is so overpowering and they feel it is so overwhelming for them. And therefore, they have a deeper desire to cut down on such interactions and find solitude, find few quiet hours, find isolation that detaches them from stressful situations where they are voluntarily or involuntarily being attached with somebody else. Now, solitude is often referred to somebody who's being in a position or situation of being lonely, which is incorrect. Solitude means being alone. It does not by any chance mean being lonely. So people who have misconceptions around this, and we'll be diving deeper into that later, often consider a person who's a solitude person or a loner to be as if there's something wrong with them, as if they are incapable of having certain skill set which is required to be a normal human being. But on the flip side, if you look at it, it is actually a positive feeling which helps us to become in balance, to become more centered, to become more grounded. It helps us to be happy within ourselves and enjoy our own company. Solitude allows us to get in touch with who we really are. The deepest desires of unearthing our own existence comes when we are in the space of solitude, when we have the quiet hours with us. So, what are those 9 signs which you may have, either one or in combination of others, which may give you an understanding if you are a loner or a solitude person? The first one is if you enjoy spending time alone rather than with people around. You like your own company. You feel that you are more connected within yourself rather than being connected with your members. You feel that you do not have many friends, and at the same time, you do not even feel the need of having a lot of many friends. You may have one, two, three, four, a few friends. You may still be wanting to have some kind of connection with other human beings because at the end you are a human, and it is a social requirement of every human existence to be having some kind of a meaningful connection. But wherever you feel that the connection is not fairly equitable, it is not contributing, it is not meaningful, it is pulling you down, you would want to cut down on those ties and rather find solace in being who you are as you are in your own company. Fourth, you introspect a lot and you tend to be an introvert. A person who is a loner may not always be an introvert. They can be introvert, but sometimes they also be extrovert in certain situations. So there's a term called ambivalent, which fits in as a person who is introvert can also have certain tendencies of being extrovert as well. But they, at the end, enjoy their own company. They, at the end, do not thrive on drama. They, at the end, do not thrive on gossips and communication, connection, because information that is not nurturing their soul. Fifth sign that you may be a loner is that you take life slowly. You feel the overwhelm of the world, and therefore you feel that the world is too demanding, it is too fast paced, relationships are too demanding. There is a need for you to manipulate yourself in order to fit in, and that is where you feel that you've lost your independence, you've lost your free spirit if you are in presence of other people, media, societal conditioning, religious conditioning, national geographic overwhelm that might be coming up with beliefs around that particular place that you live in. So there are a lot of these inherent uh, energy that keeps on affecting you at a deeper level, where you feel that you may have to let go of yourself in order to fit in, which is something that you would not want to. Which brings me to the sixth one, that you are a free spirit. You love your independence. You love to explore new things. You love to have a mindset which is growth based. You have a growth mindset rather than a stay stuck mindset. You're always looking for something new, but at the same time, you love your independence. You'll be happy in experiencing the free flow of life rather than the mundane step by step regular routine of what is right and what is not so right, and try to fit in order to be right. And sometimes you also tend to have interesting quirks. The eighth sign that you might be a loner or a person who is on a solitude journey is that you have a very strong desire to walk on your own path, to be a lone wolf. Sometimes you may also be labeled as antisocial person, or as a person who is sometimes being labeled as black sheep in the family as well. But you may not really be against somebody or something or an idea. You might be very inclusive and very tolerant of other people and their own beliefs, and you recognize that they are coming from their own conditioning, their own belief system. But at the same time, you consider your path to be different than theirs, and you have a very strong desire to be authentic to your own self and walk on the path that feels most resonating with you at a deeper soul level. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, you might also be labeled as a black sheep of the family. So if you have any of these signs or a combination of, please do let me know and comment in the section below so that I can also get back to you, talk about more in detail about how you've been experiencing life as a learner. Then we also come to the point that if there are so many merits about being a solitary person, a loner, so what's really wrong with being a learner? I would say absolutely nothing. But then why is it that society at large considers people who are loner or people who have a tendency to be in their own space to be labeled as black sheep? So we have to understand this from the evolutionary perspective. Much before we actually became civilized, we always, as a human race, used to live in communities because we always had the threat of being attacked by predators, by animals, and so on and so forth. And during that time, a person who would not comply or would be a threat to the human community who's going to be living together would be outcasted and sent out of the community. And at the end, everybody knew that if this person is being outcasted for whatever reasons, he will not be able to survive for long because of the predators and animals and all that. So it was more like a punishment for somebody to not comply, being a part of a larger community. And that is something that we, as an evolutionary belief, as a collective conscious belief, have been carrying out, ingrained in our own understanding, lifetime after lifetime, lifetime after lifetime. And that has become a part of the soul's own evolutionary belief system. But in today's world, the life is completely changed. Our life is no more threatened by animals and predators around. So today, if there's a person who tries to walk on his or her own path, he or she is being considered as an outlier, somebody who is not complying with the normal standards of the acceptable uh, community standards, I would say. And therefore, at the end, the person is being outcasted or considered to be an outcast because it is the ingrained belief there must be something wrong with this particular person. That is why he's being outcasted. Or this person has been outcast because if he would have stayed with us, then he or she would have been a threat to us. So, considering all of these belief system that is a part of the collective consciousness at a larger scale, a person who tends to be an outlier, a person who tends to have a solitary attitude towards life, a person who tends to experience solitude more often than being in a group or a crowd, that person is considered not normal. And therefore, people consider that person to be somebody who should be labeled as not normal and is being treated accordingly. So let's explore some of the myths that people have around um, loners and people who are loving their solitude. So come up is the fact, some of these myths that come around to my mind is people who are loners, they hate other people. So if I hate somebody, I would not want to be in their company. Therefore, I would want to quit my interaction with them. So those people are antisocial people. They lack social skills. Or perhaps they might be plotting something against me. That is why they are secretive. That is why they tend to spend time alone, because they are plotting some kind of a game in their mind. How can they attack? How they can manipulate or use something against me? And therefore, they have their own inner child wounds, their past life karma, and other things that might get triggered, and that is why they label them as anti-socialite, anti-normal people. And I've come across some people calling loners as creepy or mentally sick. I mean, of course, there might be some segment, smaller segment of people who might be showing one or two of these traits, but not everybody is who's a loner is an antisocial person or is a psychopathic person or uh, somebody who's going to be doing any harm to you. Uh, Mentally ill psychopathic tendencies are also being considered as an element of a loner basis. A lot of these thriller movies that keep coming up time and again on social media and Hollywood and all, where they label people who are mentally sick, people who are psychopathic, who are antisocial people, to be loners, and therefore that is also a belief that we have started imbibing as a collective consciousness at a larger scale. And as a person who has gone through or is going through a period of solitude, for some this might be a short term where they are going through a dark night of the soul and come up very victorious on the other side, and for some others they have imbibed this as the way of life. And why have they done so? It's typically because there are a lot of benefits that come around by being a solitude person, by being a person who is uh, on a journey of self exploration, by lifting away and shattering the beliefs of the family, the beliefs of the society, the childhood conditioning, or societal impact of the media, and so many other things as a part of collective consciousness. If they cut all those ties before they really get into the space where they are more in a comfort zone, being in the space of solitude. So let's explore what are these benefits. And if you are an early person who's getting into this zone, what are the lessons that you can utilize in this particular time that you're going through as a phase of solitude? And if you are a person like me who's already been alone for a longer period of time, then how does it benefit you? The number one thing is that it centers you. As a person who is on a spiritual journey, being centered, being in alignment with who you are at the core, and being able to connect with the divine is very important. And this gives you that particular time to center around by lifting away the veils of contamination, of judgment, of inauthenticity. And when you lift all that away, you become more and more aligned with who you really are at a deeper level, and you're able to listen to your soul level calling. The next is that it starts to connect with you at a very, very deeper level. One, of course, is centering you where you are more in control of your emotions. You're more aligned with your emotions rather than being affected by emotions of other people. It also helps you connect with the deeper desires, the deeper passions, the deeper levels of soul calling, the deeper connection that you establish with the divine. You may have your own tools and techniques to do that. I personally use Akashic Records fairly often, almost every single day, and that is what I teach as well. And this has been very, very helpful for a lot of people around. The next is that it makes you authentic. So when you are no longer trying to please people around whom you are surrounded with, when you're no longer trying to uh, find acceptance by other people, when you are no longer trying to be the good one, even if you are in a stage where you do not want to do something, but you end up doing that, is where you experience inauthenticity. People who are high on integrity are high on authenticity. And what does integrity really mean? It means that whatever you are thinking, whatever you are doing, and whatever um, your actions are, whatever your beliefs are, all of them are in alignment. And that is the core of being an authentic person. It's a person who's high on integrity. Then, next important benefit is that you find space to grow. You're no longer looking at, okay, what my mom wants me to become, what my sister wants me to become, what my brother wants me to become, what my child wants me to become, what my husband wants me to become, what my in-laws wants me to become. No, you are in a space where you are no longer looking at expectations of other people. You've already come into a zone where your own authenticity and what you bring to the world is most important. And that gives you a space to grow. It gives you a space to explore your creativity. It gives you a place where you can find time to learn new things, to experiment with life, to become more passionate about newer growth prospects, to identify your passions if you haven't really found one, and work on your schedule, which allows you to be inspired to live every single day and look forward to the next day. Sixth important point is that you become a better company. And how do you do that? This might be seeming contrary to being a solitude person, but once you are more in line with who you are, once you understand, you are able to radiate that positivity to other people around, and people get attracted to people because of the vibes that they share. So if you've already shed out all those negative patterns, negative thinking, negative belief system, and you've come into an alignment with yourself, then you're no longer being contaminated by the energy of other people around. Then you start radiating positivity. Then you start attracting people who are like-minded and who are ready to explore your passions, who are ready to explore growth with you together. And that is when you start to become better company for them and they start to become better company for you, because now you're no longer resonating with people who are vibrating at a lower frequency. You have moved up the ladder. You are then attracting people of similar energy levels so that you together can grow on your own spiritual paths. And last but not the least, it teaches you to be alone. Now, mind you, when I say this, being alone is not being lonely. These two are absolute two different words. Being alone means that you enjoy your company, you are able to overcome challenges that life throws at you, being who you are as a person. Yes, of course, you sometimes might require external help, but you're not dependent on somebody else to come and be the knight in the shining armor for you. You've already amalgamated the essence of divine masculine, divine feminine. You become whole and complete into your own energetic space, and you know that the masculine energy actions will be also from me, and the feminine energy actions will be also from me. And the amalgamation together will push you towards the higher growth that you're looking forward to in this lifetime at a soul level. Let me know if you are being a learner, which of these do you resonate with? What benefits have you identified for yourself being a learner or solitude person in the comment section below. Now let's talk about if you are a person who's just getting into the state of solitude or somebody who's going through dark night of the soul, what is it that you can do to leverage this particular strength? Being a loner helps you become more self-aware. So you can identify different means to become more self-aware. Journaling is one, meditation is one, connecting with the Akashic Records definitely is one. Becoming a healer, healing yourself, using crystals. There's so many ways of coming in alignment and becoming more self-aware, asking questions why, 5 times, to a particular question, and letting your ego subside, diving into the deeper spiritual essence of finding the true meaning of a situation that is posing upon you, and then moving forward from there. So this brings me to the second point, that it helps you to find deeper meaning, deeper essence, true meaning of life, what really life is, and what is the purpose of life. It helps you recover from the social overwhelm. I personally have a lot of social overwhelm when I'm surrounded by people. I avoid going to marketplaces also. I mean, that's the kind of social overwhelm I have, because people who are sensitive, who are empathic, they have very high sensitivity to energies, and in a group setup you tend to attract energies of so many people that you find it difficult to remain calm in presence of other people, and especially if your energies are contraindicative of their energies, or their energies are contraindicative of your energies, and there is always a diff between you, what you say, what your belief systems are with the other people. It becomes even more difficult for you, and you actually feel that other people are acting as psychic vampires, and you drain out your energies. When you release them, when you come back into your solitude, you have to consciously put efforts to center yourself, bring energy back, recover your strength, and cut the cords with them. Being alone gives you space and perspective, and this is very important. As I mentioned earlier, from the point number one, when you are in a situation where you're going through a dark night of the soul, you're going through a difficult, traumatic situation, an experience, you always are looking from a very conscious, egocentric perspective. But when you are alone, when you give time to yourself, when you sit in solitude and you ask questions, what is this experience trying to teach me? What is this experience that I'm going through, which seems to be unpleasant, unwanted? What is it pushing me to become? How is it helping me to become a better version of myself? What is it that I need to imbibe and learn from this particular situation so that I become a better version of who I really am in the current moment? So what is this experience trying to teach me? This is the most important question. And when you are in a place where you are solitude, of course, initially there may be a lot of overwhelm, there will be a lot of ego chatters that will be coming up. But as the ego subsides in a space of solitude, you are able to find information from the Akashic Records you connect with, or even you are able to find deeper perspective of a situation that is coming up for you from spirit guides, from your own self, from your intuition, whatever name that you may wish to give it to. But these are the important things that one becomes aware of when the mental chatter of the mind starts to shut down the conditioning of the other people, the beliefs, the words of the other people start to shut down, and you become more attuned to listening to the deeper whispers of your soul. Fifth point is Megaluna helps you to figure out who your passion, what your passions are, what your interests are, what your hobbies are. And then I have seen so many people in my own practice who've gone through this particular stage and they have actually converted their passions and hobbies and interests into business ventures. And today they're not only earning good amount of money, but they're also following the passion. And the best part is for many of them, the passion is about helping human race, and helping other people to heal themselves. Since I also teach people to become Akashic Records Consultant, where they tend to take therapy sessions for other people. So they have been able to convert their passion for healing, passion for psychology into the business areas as well. Sixth point is that being alone helps you to develop more independence and more self-reliance. But there are people I have known who have really been so independent after coming out of the dark night of the soul, because they have learned that at the end it is you, your soul plan, your soul journey, and your soul path. It is you who have to walk through that particular journey, and nobody else will be there when the world really crumbles around. It is you who have to endure and persist and move forward in order for your own spiritual journey, in your own awakening, and support your own soul's evolution. And last but not the least, being alone makes you a more interesting person who understands life at a very deep level. It helps you understand your own self worth, and because you're no longer looking at areas of love from others, so you're able to imbibe self love, and with that comes self worth, and your worthiness starts to become so infectious that it starts to radiate around people, and then you attract people who are vibrating in a similar fashion, or people who you can help, and by sharing your own growth stories with them, own journeys, and give them hope that they can also overcome their situation, their traumas, their uh, life storms, and this storm will pass one day. And most importantly, how you are able to become a better version of who you are vis-a-vis what you were earlier, before you actually went through the dark night of the soul, before you actually got into the zone of solitude. So, what must listen is, we all must listen to the fact that there is the soul who's always yearning to be heard. The soul is always being connected. It is always talking to you, but it is not as loud as social media. It is not as loud as the needs and demands of the society and the family structures to fit in. It is a very subtle whisper that comes. And once you get attuned to listening to that whisper, you become a lone wolf. And once you become a lone wolf, there's no going back. You are on a journey of self exploration, self awareness, and growth, which eventually fuels your soul at a very deep level. So, for all the lost souls who feel lonely and disconnected, this is a profound tool where you find solitude and combination of solitude with Akashic Records as one profound tool designed to help you overcome your existential depression, explore your lost soul, practice the art of soul retrieval, and reconnect with the true, authentic self, the way that your spiritual journey was designed. When you are in that particular zone, when you're able to master the art of being a spiritual person, having a human experience by connecting directly with the divine, getting all the guidance from directly the divine, from the creator itself, rather than depending on what other people are saying, taking advice from them, then you become more whole and complete. And there are several ways of using Akashic Records for your day-to-day growth and journey. Of course, when you start Akashic Records for daily guidance, you can start by making yourself comfortable. Find one particular duration, 15-20 minute slot. Start with 5 minutes even, if that is what you have. But whenever the timing is right, whenever you feel that there's a need for you to find answers, rather than depending on outside world, because if you depend on somebody else, they will also be giving you advice based on their belief system, based on their development, their psychology, their experiences, and not really that maybe going very well for you. So instead of depending on somebody else, ask the questions, ask the guidance, take the inputs from the divine, use the Akashic records to connect with them directly. And when you're able to connect with the Akashic records, you start using that as a tool for daily guidance. Don't expect results immediately. That day one I ask the divine and then I get the answers immediately. You may take some time if you're a newbie, because over so many years you've been conditioned not to listen to your intuition. You've been conditioned not to accept the information which is coming as a gut feeling, not to take the downloads that are coming up literally. You've been told that you've been cooking up stories, you've been overthinking, you've gone into a zone out stage, and all that is not right. As a child, when we have been standing in front of the mirror, we've been talking to ourselves, our imaginary friends, and all. So our parents have always labeled us to be, crack, or a person who's just putting up stories and not really validating our experiences. And that is how we start to disconnect from the whispers of the soul that has always been with us. And then using the Akashic records, you get into that zone of starting your connection slowly, and over a period of time, you become experts, and then you start to get information as downloads, even sometimes without asking. So, whatever you need to know in a particular situation, a particular moment, you get the answers. I mean, I can share my own experiences with you when I am in presence of other people, and if they have an intent which is malicious, which is not in my highest best, I just get vibes. Now, I was not always like that, but since the time I started using Akashic records as a part of my daily practice, you become more and more attuned to your own energies, and then when there are energies that are counterindicative, you are able to identify which is an antagonistic energy and which is an energy which is pro you and helping you grow. So you can start with a beginning prayer every time that brings more alignment between you and the Akashic records. So to experience beginning prayer, I request you to close your eyes, sit in a comfortable position, feet flat on your floor, your hands on your thighs, lifting up, facing towards the sky. Take a deep breath in, slowly out. Make a conscious effort to come in alignment with your own existence, letting go of all the inputs, the chatter of the mind, the worries of the world, just centering your energies around your breath. Take a deep breath in, slowly exhale. Another deep breath in, slowly out. Another deep breath, exhale. Allow yourself to be centered. And for your daily guidance, you can use this beginning prayer as often as you want. Creator and all other beings of light, thank you for this day and opportunity, for helping me rediscover my connection with you. Help me find you within myself. Bless me to see you, to feel you, to know you, to understand you in the highest best, so that I can move forward in my journey with your guidance. Thank you for helping me overcome the blocks I have encountered to reach this place in my life. Bless me to recognize and realize my inherent power that lies in my divine connection with you. May this life's endeavor be effortless and enjoyable, and that I can proceed on this journey that has been initiated with your blessings and guidance. Help me absorb the knowledge and imbibe the wisdom that comes with the Akashic records into each fragment of my existence. Bless me to move forward on the path of spiritual awakening and soul evolution, so that I can become a medium of light and spread your presence, your light with all of the beings around. And so it is. And when you are ready, you may slowly and slowly open your eyes. I hope you found this 1 minute beginning prayer to practice your daily guidance, helping you center and become more aligned, find content and solace. You can practice it as often as you want, as many times as you want. And when you become more attuned, initially you may take some time to um, learn, I would say, but it is not necessary for you to be learning this by word. You can completely alter it into a language that resonates with you the most. So now let's talk about why do we access Akashic records and what is important for us to learn from the Akashic records. We access Akashic records to access the soul's innate wisdom. Our soul is always on the spiritual journey, learning lifetime after lifetime, and it is also an extension of the divine. It has the spark of the divine within. So, by nature of being the spark of the divine, it already has all the wisdom of being the divine. It is just on its journey to explore itself, to identify deeper meaning of existence and life as such, and therefore it is trying to evolve itself through recognizing all these karmic patterns, evolving through this karma and becoming whole complete self as a creator again. So we access Akashic records, one, to access soul's innate wisdom, previous lifetimes gifts, passions, information that can be helpful for us in the current lifetime, our karma with our people around, our soulmates, family members, people who have done good to us, people who have done not so good to us, identify our karma with them. It also helps us free ourselves from egocentric information. Because once you are in alignment with the Akashic records, you are very easily able to recognize that this information that my mind is giving to me is ego based and something which is more about preserving my identity. Whereas this information, the way this information is coming up to me, the tone of the information, the context of the information, all there are very different factors that help you distinguish between egocentric information and that information that is being downloaded from the Akashic records. So you're able to get a neutral perspective of the situation, a third person perspective, which we often talk about a perspective of the creator. It is completely a non-judgmental state. Ego charters will always have some kind of an element of judgment into it or self-preservation, the righteous part of you, whereas the greatest perspective that you will get after information is being downloaded to you from the Akashic records is very non-judgmental. It does not label you as right or wrong. It gives you the real meaning of having an experience and what this experience really means. And many people, which brings me to the next point, is that many people who've been experiencing Akashic records sometimes have instantaneous healing. No, they do not have to even go through the lengthy process of connecting with the Akashic records, getting the information about their karma with a particular person, and then doing the healing part of it, and then doing healing multiple times till the time the karma is being resolved. Sometimes just getting the answers heals you, which is the beauty of Akashic records, because most of the times as human beings, we try to find answers from a very logical frame of mind. Why divorce happened? Why somebody had not been able to conceive a child? Why this? Why that? And sometimes science does not have answers to everything. Sometimes logic does not have answers to everything. And then you keep struggling with the answers as to why. The answers lies in the information from the Akashic records. There are answers lie in the past lives that you have with that particular person. So once you have that information, there is an immediate shift that comes along, because you also understand that the situation was brought to me because of something I had to learn from the situation, from this experience of this person. So there's a lot of forgiveness towards self and towards others. There's a lot of release of guilt. There's a lot of release of shame that comes along with it, because of the information that is given to you. And therefore, the process of healing becomes shorter and sometimes even instantaneous, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, once you are connected with the Akashic records, the energy of the Akashic records is such high vibration that lower vibrational frequencies cannot stay with you if you are genuinely connected with the Akashic records. So you are able to ground yourself, let go of the energies, release energies that are no longer serving you, and able to come in alignment with the highest version of who you are, being able to connect with your higher self, getting the information from the Akashic will become even more easier, and sometimes start to get instantaneous downloads even without asking the direct question. You start getting daily guidance. You are also able to make correct decisions about your life path, about your life choices. Um, Let me give an example. One of my clients, she had been struggling with a relationship issue, had a child. Husband had thrown the child and the wife out. My client was wife of this particular man. And he talked to both of them back to India. They were in Australia earlier. And the situation for her was she did not understand why it happened. What wrong did she do to attract that situation? And all that was there was, one, blame towards the person. Second, all that was there, that what wrong did I do? Why did I deserve this? And then there was a pressure from people around to go back and work out relationship with that particular person, even though she was in a very abusive relationship, mentally, physically, psychologically, sexually, all kind of abuse was there in that relationship. And when she connected with the Akashic record, she had got very different information which helped her identify that if she goes back, she's only going to be repeating the pattern again and again. And there will never be an able healing that will happen. And her main reason was to become more authentic, to become more independent, to be not dependent on husband's financials, and become a self-sufficient person. And when she started to work on herself, started to become more independent, not being dependent on husband or his money, not only she started to find more happiness, more peace, she also started to shift the energy of people around. People started to become more accepting of her as she is, and the entire energy of her house, her family started to shift. Today she's in a very happy state. When I last connected with her, she was really in a happy state. And last but not the least, use Akashic records for karmic cleansing and clearing. If you really want to avoid repetition of a pattern, you must do karmic cleansing and clearing. So it's not hard to really see visible results of Akashic records right away, but yes, it sometimes takes continuous effort for people who've been long disconnected from the highest version of creator self, and people who have not been able to uh, do meditation, other things. They find it even slightly more difficult to connect with their Akashic records, and then sometimes also lose hope, which is my request from each one of you. If you are in your journey, on a journey to Akashic records, do not give yourself away. If you're not able to connect with the Akashic records, start small, start with daily practice. Start asking small little questions rather than asking bigger questions, which have a lot of karma involved, and slowly build your practice over a period of time. And if you are somebody who's looking forward to becoming an Akashic Records consultant or looking forward to heal yourself, we do have global certification programs that are the most comprehensive programs you'll ever find on Akashic Records. And typically in this course, whether you are talking about healing yourself or talking about healing others as a specialized consultant of Akashic course, in that course you'll be talking about what are Akashic records, how to use them for daily guidance, how do you understand the reasons why you were tackling a difficult situation in your life, what are the lessons to be learned, how do you unearth the inner child wounds and identify the soul plan and the lessons that are to be imbibed before you are able to move forward to the next spiritual growth? What are the past life karma, past life issues that are holding you from becoming the best version of who you are and live the best life? These karmic patterns could be revolving around money, your health, your finances, your abundance, your relationship, love, child, marriage, mate concepts. There are so many different concepts that we uncover while we work on with Akashic records in this particular course, and we talk about 4 different levels of consciousness and beliefs that get affected, not just one. So that is why I say that this particular power-packed plan of becoming an Akashic Records healer, whether you're healing self or others, is something that is designed to give you one tool that takes care of all your karmic problems and all your healing requirements. Towards the second and the third level, you will also be learning about exploring the womb, healing the womb, soul retrieval, past life connections, identifying karma with other people, uh, transgenerational ancestral karma, identifying the areas of divine feminine that needs to be worked on, learning how to merge the divine masculine, divine feminine, become a better version, a whole self of your own existence so that you're able to move forward in life, being your best version. So I hope now you understood how solitude really helps people become more aligned, more authentic, and what is the purpose of experiencing solitude. Of course, you can go back and get into a depressive state as well if you are in a solitude state. But once you're able to master the art of solitude, this can be your gateway to spiritual growth, soul evolution, your awakening, as I say. Stay tuned if you want to have more sessions like these with us. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Thank you.